Hey, what's up, guys? It's Cloud, Cold, whatever you want to call me. I'm not really, too picky on it. It can go either way, the way but it's kind of written. But today, what you're gonna expect in this video is I'm just gonna give you my setup of my build, my reasoning behind certain choices, where I see the limitations of this build, and I guess how to further improve on the build. So this is a Darkness Monk. In the Chalupa, whatever you want to call it, Ascendancy. I think the last thing I saw is that this is actually the lowest of the played Ascendancies. So I really want to end up giving people like some information about the class and the uses and the benefits of actually having this Ascendancy, and then also talk about the black sheep of it is the darkness portion of the Chilu Ascendancy, which a lot of people aren't playing. They're just mainly doing the breach thing, into the breach, that ability. So I'm just gonna go through some things, let you just watch the gameplay. Key things about darkness is we do not have spirit, so we're not gonna have a lot of the movement stuff or like the survivability stuff that a lot of people get through having spirit. But it's still pretty good in my opinion. I think you can kind of get a little bit more damage, without having to proc heralds and stuff like that. Just because of the ascendancy and the bonuses of damage that you get in there. But I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope this kind of leans some of you towards a different meta, a different build, and kind of a different perspective. Uh, None of this stuff is overly expensive, and if it is expensive, then just getting the baseline of this build will allow you to farm pretty much everything in the game besides Simulacrum. That's like the bane of my existence right now, and I've kind of given up solving that for this build. I think there just needs to be more stuff to the game, and with more than one person, it's perfectly doable. But as like a solo thing, that's like the main thing I can't solo right now, just because it's a little bit too much HP or effective HP that you need to have. Alright guys, so while this is going on, I'm going to just pull up some of my ascendancies with the darkness that I'm using. Just take a second to pause the video. It's just going to flash on the video. Just take a second to pause it if you need to read it yourself, but I'm just going to go through it very briefly. So embrace the darkness. Pretty much, you lose your opportunity to have spirit for other opportunities to have darkness. And what darkness is pretty much an energy shield that has a reservation. And what the reservation pretty much means is, let's say you're at max darkness. Let's say your max darkness is 600, and something gets taken out of that reservation. So let's say you take 300 damage. So now that reservation doesn't get replenished until after 10 seconds. That's the base time. It's not like it will get overhealed. Whatever damage is taking after that certain amount of time is going to get replenished. So that's that. That's Embrace the Darkness. After that, we have Grasp the Void, which is pretty much you get 1% of damage per 20 darkness. And so what darkness is you get a base rate of 100, and then every level you get 5 darkness. So pretty much about every 4 levels you're going to get 1% of bonus damage as chaos damage. So this is where a lot of our chaos damage is coming into, just from scaling everything else. Inner Silence pretty much takes that 10 seconds and puts it into 5. I really feel like the darkness is unplayable without it being 5 seconds. I'm just so used to it. And then last but not least, Chilla's Gift pretty much just gives us 10% maximum chaos resistance and doubles each point of chaos resistance we get. So it makes it super easy to get chaos res and to be over chaos res and to max res and to really not have to worry too much about the damage. But if you want to just rewind the video to get the to read for yourself, you can. But we're gonna keep it moving, and yeah. So as we're coming up to this next boss, you're gonna see the kind of play style that I have. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But as I'm walking up, I like to set up my gas before the boss actually spawns. And then when it spawns, maybe wait like a second or two just because of, the, I guess, damage reduction that they added on. Just take a second or two, and then you see me put the flame wall down and just explode them and just keep it moving. That's probably my favorite part about this build. It makes bossing a lot easier. You get a hell of a lot of burst at the start, just because of the way the gas is set up, and huge advantage at the beginning. Is pretty much what I think. So that's what this is, and enjoy. One thing I want to mention too, at this point is, and also hopefully you can see the main reason why I chose Chaos Trial is because this isn't like a super large barrier of entry to get into. You don't have to learn all these mechanics and stuff like that, especially if you're playing a build that's fairly you know just one shotting things or just making things CC'd, stuff like that. This build has high knock up, um, and high stun, and then also can freeze and electrocute. So has a lot of good stuff going for it, and it can really just make this process super easy, especially in the next month or 2 or 3 months as we go into a new economy. This build, I think, will really get into a stride as other things change, and can really allow for easy early game to mid to late game process of gearing up and gaining currency. So I want to talk a little bit about my gear. I'm gonna post a link in the description so you can go to it and kind of look over it as I'm talking. The potions, unique potions, are just just because I want to have them. They're not a necessity. They're not anything that's needed in the build by any means. It's just stuff that I have. Um, but with the bow, I mainly really want a dual string bow with high lightning, high elemental damage. Something that just has good scaling, mainly, which is usually just lightning, and then a bonus 2 arrows. So you're really getting 3 arrows from the dual string bow. Um, you can care about a lot of other things, but those are the main things, the main core things I'm caring about, just because in the Ascendancy, bonus or more damage equals more chaos damage, or bonus chaos damage. So I'm really just trying to get my numbers as high as I can so it can kind of leech off and give that darkness, some benefit from the bonus chaos damage. With my armor, I have pretty much high evasion, pretty self-explanatory. And then with the helmet, I like using items that aren't really meta right now, and so this is the Secamus um, helmet. And pretty much what it does is it gives you, this one's giving me around like 250 energy shield, and then also blinding enemies in my presence while also making them weak to crit. So these are like stats that aren't really being charted, or like kind of unscalable numbers to kind of like always have like a definite, this is what you're getting from that. But I think just having like a constant blind on enemies, and them being crit resistant, or like their crit weakness going up, then that kind of enables me to have a hidden higher evasion and a hidden higher crit chance in a way. And then boots, just regular evasion boots with resistance. I'm trying out the Ingenuity belt. It's probably about like 10k more DPS on the tooltip than the old belt I was using. So it's really not, I think, that big of a deal with a lot of the content, but it's just cool. The 2 rings I have, one is just mainly for resistance, and then other is just, a temporary breach ring, pretty much. Um, but yeah, I mean, outside of my pots, a lot of my gear just really isn't that expensive. You can easily find a bow that I'm talking about for like a div or less. and then even just get like a base to craft off of for div or less, and make something similar. But hopefully that gives you guys like a good idea of like my gear. Because the main thing is the bow, and then obviously the quiver. The quiver is important to have that flat damage on it. Projectile skills, bow skills, stuff like that, as well. I did forget
Impressive.
to talk about the
Knowing the
quiver.
challenges may
One
surprise
thing
those.
interesting too about quivers and with rings is they have
And
an
resilient.
enchant through chaosing, valing, or corrupting. I mean, to have increased damage. So I definitely try to get the increased damage enchant on my quiver and my rings as much as I possibly can. With the amulet, it's the Rondell amulet. I mean, it's just 50% more damage, and you do more skill speed and stuff like that. So the ingenuity belt is just kind of helping me have that amulet, and then as I'm tweaking stuff in the future, and I'm probably not going to get too much into tweaking from here on out, but um it's just pretty good damage, a pretty solid build. Like I said, the one main thing that it really struggles with is simulacrum, but yeah, hopefully that gives you a good idea of my thought process through my equipment. On second thought, this is after recording the video. I'm actually gonna add a clip at the end of the video if you also want to just fast forward to there of me just scrolling through my gear as is right now. I do plan on making like a solo self-found character, making videos on it, to kind of give people an idea of how to make the build if you're solo self-found, or if you really didn't have like a lot of resources, and just doing it that way, because I think that's another way to play the game and enjoy it while we're waiting for the next patch. And also just another way to produce more content. I definitely want to create content on
I could
YouTube,
practically see it in
and
your smile.
be a voice for the darkness community or the Chilua monk or however you want to talk about it. Because I feel like a lot of people want to play it, or a lot of
May
people
their
just
blood fuel
want
your
information and it's
fury.
just not there. So I want to kind of help provide that in the best way that I can. It's been a little rough with YouTube and figuring things out, but I think I'm getting the hang of it, and I definitely really enjoy this game and think it can have a huge, huge, huge impact on like the gaming community. So I definitely want to be a part of that from the beginning, and provide as much value as I can for people. So I think it'd be cool to do like a little segment, or like a highlights of a solo self-found hardcore character. But we'll see from there. This blood sacrifice thing is actually probably my favorite one, just because literally all I have to do is shoot the ground a couple times, put a flame wall, they spawn, they instant die. I mean, yeah, it's the best. It's the best. One thing I don't think I mentioned just yet, and if you've continued to this video up to this point, maybe you already know, or um, you're just locked in trying to learn. Uh, the main reason that I'm saying that this is a kind of a good currency farm is because every boss level you're guaranteed soul cores, and then on the 10th floor Once you get to that point of ultimatums, then that last boss drops a fragment, which can be upwards of you know the high end, low end, of 40, 80 exalt, as of right now in the economy. But the fragments are what you use to fight the final boss, and you'll see me do that. I might pop back in here to say some more stuff, but that's just to give the little rundown about why I think this is valuable.
Final trial begins. Fall before me. Entropy.
So yep, this is the final boss. He gets that instant stun, that instant smack in the face. And pretty much thinking about loot at this point. So if you guys want me to do any other video of me running a certain instance or a certain, in-game event, I'll definitely do that for you guys and kind of give you another rundown like this if you enjoyed it. But yeah, definitely leave a like if you liked it, subscribe. I definitely want to give out more content and be able to be a more informative YouTube content creator for this game, especially for this Ascendancy. And yeah, much love, guys, and keep it moving.
Ancient power.
I just wanted to come back at the end of the video. I think I mentioned something about my quiver having projectile skills. That was an old quiver. I definitely forgot. This is more crit chance, crit bonus, stuff like that. But again, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you tuned in this late, I'm just going to be scrolling through my gear so you can take a look at it. All of this isn't really mandatory for the most part, especially the ingenuity and the rings. You can always work around that, but main things is the bow and the ascendancy points, and then the passive tree as well. So you can always go to the website, check out my passive tree, see how I have that set up for the pin and damage. And yeah, guys, enjoy, keep it moving, and have fun.